Leonard Ray, for the last several years, room at the top of the heavyweight division dominated by just a few names: Tyson, Holyfield, Bo, Lennox Lewis. Not too many chances for others to break the logjam at the top. Do you get a sense that boxing fans are hungry for new faces in the division?
Very much so, Jim. I think fight fans, they want to see those fresh faces. They want to see guys develop and grow and eventually become world champions. I think what we have here tonight, some exciting personalities, distinct styles, and all they have to do tonight is prove they should be up there with the big boys.
All right, well, we'll take a look at the first of our two main events with the fighters already in the ring, and you're going to look at unbeaten Hasim Rahman, who's one of the hardest punching of the heavyweight hopefuls, and he goes against Obed Sullivan, the former fighting Marine who took up the sport a little bit late. And Sullivan, as you'll see, needs to make an impression right away because he's already 29 years old at 24. Rahman is the youngest of the four fighters on the card tonight. A 5-pound weight advantage for Rahman and a 2-inch reach advantage for Hasim Rahman thought that he would be fighting George Foreman later this month. It was originally scheduled that way, but then Foreman decided that he would prefer to fight Shannon Briggs, and Rahman got this shot as a consolation prize. Speaking of consolation, rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Obed Sullivan Hasim Rahman fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing gate count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
All right, Harold, and we've mentioned this is the first time that boxing has ever taken place here at the Apollo, so the ring is rigged in an unusual position right at stage level. That may be one of the reasons why earlier this evening we saw an unusual scene as first Hasim Rahman at 7 minutes after 9:30 stepped into the ring in front of what was already a fairly full house here at the Apollo and walked around it like a golfer checking the greens. And then 7 minutes later, Sullivan stepped into the ring and did exactly the same thing. As we said, we don't think we've ever seen a fighter do this, much less two fighters in preparation for their bout. Now let's go into the ring and ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the legendary Apollo Theater here in Harlem, New York, where tonight Cedric Kushner Promotions, in association with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, this Bud's for you, present heavyweight boxing for your entertainment. These bouts are sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission Chairman, former Olympic champion, former 2-time world heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson, First Executive Director Tony Russo, Deputy Commissioners Mike Pascali and Mark Kornstein, Chief Physician at ringside Dr. Billy Lathan, ringside physicians Dr. Rufus Sadler and Dr. Richard Weinstein, timekeeper is Jim Borzell, alternate referee Harold Smith counting for the knockdown seconds. This first contest is also sanctioned by the IBF and USBA President Robert W. Lee. Supervisors for the IBF USBA will be Darrell Peebles and Al Lucas. The 3 judges scoring the bout on a 10-point must system will be Mike Gliena, Steve Weisfeld, and Barry Yates. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, your referee, Wayne Kelly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing for the unified IBF Continental and USBA Heavyweight Championships. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black with gold letters and weighing 230 pounds. He brings a professional record of a perfect 23 consecutive victories without a loss into the ring, 20 by knockout. From Baltimore, Maryland, here is the IBF number 7 heavyweight in the world, the undefeated USBA heavyweight champion, Hasim the Rock Rahman. And across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing gold trimmed with red and weighing 225 pounds. His professional record also an outstanding 28 victories, 19 by knockout with only 1 defeat and 1 draw. And he is ranked number 4 in the world by the IBF. Ladies and gentlemen, from Gulfport, Mississippi, here is the IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Obed Sullivan.
We're boxing for the USBA Heavyweight Championship. I expect a clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Shake hands, come out boxing at the bell. Good luck, 12 rounds. Touch him up.
Jim, a lot of future stars first gained notice in show business on this stage.
Come on.
If there's any heavyweight here tonight who could make a similar leap, it's Rahman. He's fighting a much more experienced fighter. Let's see if he's up to it.
Ray Leonard, Obed Sullivan is bone dry in the upper body. Is that a danger sign early for him?
Well, I noticed that. Wasn't too much perspiration on Sullivan. It appears to me that Rahman really warmed up in the back. You know, he's sweating very profusely, and he seems to be a lot more relaxed than Sullivan.
Sullivan snaps an effective jab, though, as both fighters work behind the jab at the beginning of round number 1. Rahman generally regarded as the bigger puncher of the two. Sullivan is regarded, particularly by his own trainer, Chuck McGregor, as an outstanding defender.
Sullivan claims he's worked on upper body movement, moving his head a lot more instead of being a stationary target.
Jabs for the first minute of round 1, and Rahman moving forward, maybe developing a little bit more confidence early in the bout than is Obed Sullivan.
Both fighters have pretty decent jabs, in fact pretty strong left jabs, and what they need to do is just use it a lot more. That too would help them loosen up some.
Rahman told us that he wants to work on relaxing more. Thinks that his power punches will be more effective as he's able to let them flow more naturally. Fight has taken place in the center of the ring so far. Neither man's been anywhere near the ropes.
You know, Jim, that's been a problem of Rahman. You know, he's so strong, and he's knocked most guys out. And if a guy doesn't have a decent punch, he tends to get somewhat lackadaisical and lazy in there and take some unnecessary punishment.
Rahman's corner includes Don Turner and Tommy Brooks, the same two guys who work with heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. So if any of these prospects has a chance to learn a lot in the next couple of years, it's Hasim with his outstanding corner.
With Tommy Brooks in his corner, Tommy Brooks, who works with Evander Holyfield, he's been around the block a number of times, and if there's anyone that can teach a student some corners or give a student some pointers, is Tommy Brooks.
Rahman, the first in the fight to land an effective power punch, and he begins to target the body of Obed Sullivan. It'll be interesting to see which man can begin to vary his attack after what has amounted to a battle of jabs in round number 1. But in the last minute of the round, Hasim Rahman began to make his power punches more effective against Sullivan.
Huh? You want it in? Hold your head. Hold your...
No, let go. Leave it in?
Got a little neck over here. Go ahead. Check this out. Look. Look, when you get a hit on, look, when you get to the inside, rock.
Close your hand.
Listen up, rock. Listen up. When you get to the inside, you got to go with both hands, okay? Stop head hunting. Start in the body, just like we talked about, okay? All right, start in the body. The head will open itself up, but you got to start in the body.
Okay? Keep your hand up a little bit this round. And relax.
Deep breath, deep breath.
When he throws the double jab, and if he don't hit you with both of them when you're moving, step right up and touch it with the jab and that relaxed straight right hand. And also look at the jab.
I'm wondering, guys, if Rahman doesn't have some kind of a nick over his eye, the way they were treating it. I didn't see any blood. Let's watch it here.
The right side of his face has been subjected to literally hundreds of stitches, but that's the result of a near-fatal automobile accident, actually a truck accident, that Rahman survived years ago before he ever took up the sport of boxing.
500 stitches if we're counting.
There was some very good instructions from Rockman's corner by Tommy Brooks, indicating him to work the body, because that's what happens with a lot of young fighters. They tend to go to the head too much and forget about the body shots.
And from the truck, producer David Harmon informs us that Rockman's handlers did mention to him between rounds that he might have a nick over his left eye. That's the eye that Larry was referring to, not the eye on the side where the hundreds of stitches from the automobile accident were. Sullivan landed 11 of 23 jabs in round one. Rockman threw twice as many, and Rockman begins to make his power felt in round two.